time for mommy to record. I'm a boy mom. No fart sounds.
The must before Marnie feeling the chab.
Remnants of my morning coffee.
Let's get caffeinated. This is hard.
Okay, just no farting. God, this YouTube thing is going to be a little too much. I can't be serious. I'm not where I thought I would be at 48. Look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I had it all figured out. I didn't, obviously. Early 2020, I was working as a mortgage assistant at a top non-QM lender in the nation, which is AKA hard money lending. Even the newbie loan originators were making at least $20K a month. My top producers that I was assisting, 40 to 80K a month. Okay, just wrap your head around that. That's why I went into mortgage. I was incredibly inspired. I did everything I could to learn from them. I absorbed every ounce of a teaching moment like a sponge. And one of the ways I did that was by pretending their money was my money. But it was in the form of a job. I observed phone conversations with investors, used all of the real estate lingo that I learned in the 17 years of real estate in my career, learned a language that spoke in numbers called money. Before the pandemic, my goal was simple: learn fast so I can become the only female mortgage loan originator on the sales team. Buy a home as a single woman and a single mom and just be proud of myself. Get back into real estate investing, something I'd started during my pregnancy, but had to give birth to a beautiful baby boy named Hendrix Lennon. And finally pay off the now $56,000 worth of student loans for a registered nurse degree that I never got to finish. I know. I thought by now I'd have it all. I'd have a husband who is also in finance. Pictured us taking quarterly trips to Mexico while I worked as this cool nomadic loan originator, margarita in my hand, prospecting for investors just to have the excuse of writing off my travel expenses. Whole picture got shot to shit real quick in 2020. The economy changed, and so did the dating game. Here's what actually happened. Laid off total of 3 times with no backup plan and no husband. Applying for jobs and, of course, getting nowhere. Running out of unemployment and having to go do Uber and Lyft just to pay the bills because I wasn't able to even reapply for unemployment. When I finally got an offer from America's largest nationwide home builder, they completely and utterly left out a third of my salary on the job offer letter. When I asked, hey, where was the commission structure that we discussed in the interview where you said I could make $400 to $1,200 extra per month? Mind you, my brain is thinking about the $1,200 because I already knew I'm going to get in and I'm going to get good because money was definitely a motivating factor for me. So when I asked them why it wasn't on my job offer letter, they said I had to show up at orientation. Really? Where on earth do you have to show up first day on your new job just to find out what your commission structure is? I've never heard of this. In real estate, everything is based per loan file that closes, and then you'll get paid 2 weeks, sometimes a month after that. So of course, instead I had to keep doing gig work. The money was so good until about June 2024. I kept noticing the money was going down even when the school year would start. And if you don't know about Austin, you know, we're obviously a tech hub here. We are Silicon Hills. A lot of people do not know that we have 9 colleges and universities in and around Austin, Texas. So when the summertime rolls around, we lose a tremendous amount of students, staff, and faculty. So yeah, money gets really bad in the summer, but that all bounces back when the end of August hits. But even at that, the money just wasn't good anymore. I realized is that people were flooding onto the platforms to get another source of income. Most people are going to hit up Uber, Lyft, DoorDash first because they're just the easiest to get on. So 3.5 years since I was last laid off, I kept telling myself the same lies. Someday I'll get a job. The economy will correct itself. Oh, and my favorite, the government is going to send us all stimulus checks from all the money that they've saved cutting unnecessary government spending. None of that happened. And at some point, I had to sit with the truth. No one is coming to save you. No one is coming to save you, Alicia. On top of that, it's getting worse, not better. It's a good thing I started consciously editing my life in 2022, which was the last time I got laid off. Not everything at once. That's like the fastest way to become a quitter. I started small. So I want to walk you through exactly what that looked like. So here we go. In 2022, after getting laid off, which was about August 2022, I decided that I was going to stop buying alcohol for my home. I'm not an alcoholic. I just knew that not buying alcohol for my home would not only save me money, but also it would keep me from possibly going into a dark place, which, now 4 years later, I've seen too many videos on YouTube where people are definitely going into a dark place. I feel for people that have lost jobs multiple times, myself included. I have a lot of tech friends here in Austin. They've been laid off like 5 times. It's just unfortunate that all of this is happening. And I'm learning it's a lot more than just AI. So I stopped buying alcohol for my home. Let's face it, you make yourself one cocktail at home, you have all the ingredients out, especially me, I used to bartend. Then you're like, it's there, I'm just going to make myself another cocktail. Next thing you know, your evening is not as productive. You're Netflixing, maybe you're sending texts you shouldn't be sending to people. You just get off track. So imagine doing that 2 to 3 times a week, casually having a drink. You're not wanting to learn anything new, much less record a YouTube video, although that does sound like fun. Fast forward to July 2023. I found this YouTuber named Dan Coe. I became heavily inspired because he really spoke about the idea of going monk mode, cutting out the crap if you really want to build something. He promoted the one person business model, which is the first time I'd ever heard of that terminology. Turns out it's very much like Tim Ferriss's 4-hour work week. So I like to tell people Dan Coe is the modern day Tim Ferriss. That's how I describe him. He is highly philosophical. When you watch one of Dan's videos, you feel like you've consumed an entire book of knowledge. You feel smarter. You feel lighter. All those heavy thoughts that you keep rummaging through your brain comes out. This is why I love YouTube therapy and YouTube University. Dan would always use his own example that when he was a lot younger, right out of high school and early college years, I think he's not even 30, y'all, and he's like a multimillionaire. He's so smart though. Like his brain, that intellect, yeah, we're just going to leave it at that. He spoke about how he used to smoke a lot of weed and go out late nights to underground clubs with his friends, play video games all day, all night. He was uninspired, bored about life. He didn't know at that young of an age what he was going to be passionate about. After being inspired by Dan, the first thing I felt compelled to do was start decluttering. So I started selling my stuff online, Poshmark and eBay. I really just stuck to the top 2 best platforms for either clothing and purse items or electronics, which is going to be eBay. I got rid of enough stuff that in 2024, I made over $1,400 selling my own stuff. That was nice. It came in handy the next year. I spent the whole thing. Early 2024, I stopped getting my nails done. No more acrylics. I nursed my nails back to health. That was one of the best decisions ever. I have had random conversations with guys where they will tell me they don't like fake nails. They don't like women with nails that are so long and unnatural. Ladies, take that as a note. This could save you tons of money. I've seen and heard how much people spend on nails. I was only getting acrylic refills, but when you have to do the whole thing over again, and the times when you want just a little something extra, it's a lot extra. I never got gel nails, and this stuff was just getting expensive. I would get a refill about every 2 to 3 weeks, but then once a month I would get a pedicure, and that pedicure would be $30 to $40. And I just couldn't sustain that being laid off. There was a time there was writing off my pedicures and manicures because I'll tell you a little secret about that. Some things I learned when I was a Texas realtor a few times. You can write off a lot of your beauty stuff, which is why I think a lot of women actually go into real estate. They go in to write off all the expenses of getting their hair and their nails done. You can write off your clothes as a realtor. now you know. I also stopped going out as a default when I didn't have my son for the weekend. Look, I live in Austin, okay? I've been here for 22 wonderful years. We have 7 bar districts, and that's only in downtown Austin. That doesn't even include the ones in the suburbs that they've built over the decades. Why? Because even the rich folks and the parents that moved all the way into the suburbs to raise their kids need a party from time to time. Let's not forget the music festivals and concert venues galore. We've also got an MLS soccer team, go Austin FC. We've got Texas Longhorns football tailgating, pretty much the largest adult drink fest in central Austin during football season. So it's kind of hard adulting here sometimes. Those late nights out drinking with friends, done, because staying up past 11 o'clock would end up zapping any chance I had of actually being productive the next day. Early 2025, went to the ER because I thought I was having a stroke. My friend had to literally come over to my house and peel me off the couch, take me to the emergency room. But then later, 2025, I got into a major car accident, the first one I've ever been in. I've been into a fender bender, but this was a major car accident that sent me to the trauma center with a fractured sternum, sprained ankle, pain in my chest, like excruciating pain. They had to give me morphine. I'm like, could you give me some more of that? It was painful. When I coughed or sneezed, you could still feel it. Bruises formed all over my body for the next month to 2 months before they were healed. I did have to go through a lot of neurology testing to find out that I did indeed have a slight concussion. 2025, I stopped dating closer to the end of the year. That same dating game I told you about earlier, the one that shot my whole marriage and Mexico plan to hell, that was part of getting burned last summer by a beautiful 6'5" Brazilian chef. But the bigger reason was realizing how much of a distraction dating was. Being on the dating apps, juggling messages with multiple men, half of whom apparently didn't work during the day because they would be texting or calling me during office hours. And it's not just texting or getting to know them on weekends. It's when they ghost or they end things out of nowhere. It drove me bonkers. Okay, these are men who can talk to clients, coworkers, and bosses all day long, but the second you make a prompt or a suggestion that you'd like to discuss something, they vanish. Between the dates, the texting, the ones who wanted to be on the phone for hours, every time it fell apart, I was already invested, which became very difficult for me. Now, imagine that happening over and over, sometimes multiple times a year. So I decided to make the call. Cutting off dating would hand me back a massive amount of my time and my brain power, especially during my healing phase. That's when I declared, I'm not dating. Let's talk about 2026. Half of this year was still rough with a bad living situation and gig work. Money has just been getting worse. Most of the week, I'd have to go back out to work just to make my goal of $100 a day. Now, it's a good thing I started reducing those expenses in the last few years because I still wasn't really able to save any extra money. My body started to crash out from gig work with daily body aches. I needed a break. My mental state was going down hardcore. Good thing I started watching those ASMR videos and guided meditation about 2 years ago. I noticed it relaxed me. If anything, getting myself into the mode of winding down to go to bed. Then it escalated to actually going to sleep with headphones on. I wanted to feed my subconscious mind with a lot of positivity. I was desperate to feel relaxed, desperate to feel positive, as the news of constant layoffs also stressed me the F out. Watching ASMR videos and some spiritual things really helped me through the hard times. Now I'm in a better place, except this time my new goal for 2026 is to reduce the texting. You know, I was doing so good with the not dating. It freed up so much time. Now I'm ready for the next level. So here's what I'm doing now. My text message folder goes into the 6th page of my iPhone. And that way I have to really work hard to scroll all the way to check my messages. And guess what? It works because a good third of the time I just give up. And I tell myself, you shouldn't be looking at your text messages. Of course, no notifications. The only people that can get through is my emergency bypass people, which are my family. They already know to call me when there's an emergency. I knew the school would call if there was an emergency with my son. His dad was on emergency bypass. If my son was with his dad, I didn't need to go look at my text messages. Now, my phone has already been on silent for about 15 years. So that is a problem already solved. What I'm trying to do is delay me looking at my phone to delay responding to people. It's when someone messages me that I feel compelled to answer, especially if they're asking me something before I forget what I need to say. I need to respond back. When you've been in real estate for 17 years, it is embedded in your brain in real estate school that you need to get back to your clients as fast as possible or you lose money. When that has been ingrained in you for so long, it's really hard to not be the person that wants to communicate with other people. So, look, if you feel like you're getting overwhelmed by life, just start being honest with yourself. I want you to grab a notebook or go into the note app on your phone and be 1,000% honest with yourself. What can I declutter or remove from my life? Who is distracting me? What activities are distracting me? What bad spending habits is draining my wallet? What part of my home is chaos? My kitchen. Is drinking making me too tired the next day or staying up late? What mental capacities can I work on that will allow me to function better? What do you want to learn? Do you want to learn to start a business? Do you want to gain a skill? Or do you want to learn to cook at home so you can stop ordering DoorDash? Who in the heck in my life is not supportive of my growth? Because remember, your friends don't pay your bills, only you do. Already had 2 people call me. This YouTube thing is going to be a little too much. I can't be serious all the time. It's really hard. That was a long video. Toodles. Bye bye.